Welcome back. Actually, following the historic Cairo summit between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan of Sudan, the subsequent address by Ambassador Ihab Awad at the UN Security Council, Egypt, has sent a clear unifying message to the world. Egypt's red lines in Sudan, preserving its unity, its state institution and its territorial integrity are actually non-negotiable. To discuss the strategic weight of this Egyptian warning and the activation of the Joint Defense Agreement, we are honored to be joined over the phone by Dr. Ahmad Mostafa, the international relations expert. Dr. Mostafa, good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. How you got?
Dr. Mostafa, the presidency recently defined Sudan's unity and state institutions actually as red lines. From a strategic perspective, how does this official declaration elevate Sudan's conflict from a regional crisis to a direct Egyptian national security priority?
Did you know that Sudan is the south border of Egypt? And Sudan and Egypt, we are saying that it is North Egypt and South Egypt. Sometimes we are not saying Sudan because the people of Sudan, they are our people as well. A more fracture and a more manipulating the security of Sudan will endanger the...
Yes. Yes, Dr. Mostafa. I do believe that we are having, we lost Dr. Mostafa contact, and moving on with Sudan, and till we get back to our dear guest still with Sudan, where the United Nations has warned that the conflict in Sudan is entering a more dangerous phase, with the fighting intensifying and the humanitarian situation rapidly deteriorating. Briefing the UN Security Council, representatives of several UN agencies raised alarm over the mounting risk facing civilians and the humanitarian workers as clashes continue between the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces across the country. Mohammed Khalid Khairi, the UN Assistant Secretary General for the Middle East, Asia and the Pacific, told the Council that violence has escalated since the last briefing in October, confirming the concern that dry season would fuel renewed fighting and fresh attacks on civilians. The UN stressed that without urgent action, the crisis risks spiraling further, deepening one of the world's most severe humanitarian emergencies. And back to our guest, Dr. Mostafa. Dr. Mostafa, please go on. We do apologize for losing the contact here.
Yeah, frankly speaking, as I told you, the Sudanese borders is like a red line for the Egyptian sovereignty, because Sudan represents the south of Egypt. Trying to manipulating the security and the stability and the sovereignty of Egypt is, of course, a red line not just for the president, not just for the intelligence, not just for the foreign affairs. It's a red line for the Egyptian people, because the Egyptian people most of the time thinking that the Sudanese people, they are their own family as well. Our families in the south. That was the concept that was inherited inside, the subconscious of, the Egyptian people. Also, as you mentioned in the report, manipulating the southern borders or trying to divide Sudan or fracture Sudan to more than 2 or 3 countries, small states or things like that, I think it will be also very dangerous, because the security of the Red Sea, and we had a conference headed by Senator Abdel with the states that is outlooking the Red Sea before, the security of the Red Sea, and we are not trying to change the nature of this, countries or the current status of the Red Sea. Because on other hands, or the other side, it will be very dangerous, and it will also propagate for the dangers you mentioned, the human trafficking, the insecurity, of course, the terrorism and instability, which is trying to cripple any trial to develop the countries that are outlooking the Red Sea. This is also another important topic. Also, the matter of instability of Sudan, especially from this RSF, trying also to undermine the socio-economic status of the Egyptian. Because if you have waves of the refugees from Sudan, and they are not 100,000, they are about 2 or 3 million. And we have a report from the National Human Rights Council.
Yes.
We have now about 10 or more than 10 million of the refugees, not only from Sudan, from the other countries that already occurred to other crises, including and not limited to Libya, Chad, Sudan, Iraq, of course Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and so on. Therefore, Egypt is like, digesting a lot of people exceeding, the limit that will affect negatively on the Egyptian social and economic status here, because it raises all the prices of the commodities and services as well. Therefore, the matter of Sudan is a red line for us.
Indeed. Dr. Mostafa, Ambassador Ihab Awad was firm actually at the UN regarding the categorical rejection of the parallel entities. Does this signal that Egypt would officially block any actually international attempt to legitimize non-state paramilitary actors?
Exactly. I totally agreed with Mr. Awad in this regard, because we know also one army of Sudan, which represents the legitimacy of Sudan. We know one people of Sudan. We know only one country. It's the North Sudan, because it's supposed to be the whole Sudan. However, the Western malicious attempts and trials, they already divided Sudan into North and South, also to weaken Egypt. And we should be aware it was during the time of Mubarak and the other Arab countries, and I don't know why the Arab countries, they didn't take the right precautions in this regard. Therefore, we have to save this northern part to be intact for the integrity, for the Egyptian borders, and for the security of Egypt as the strongest state and the skill holder in the region. Otherwise, it will be very dangerous, and I think Egypt will support the legitimacy over there in Sudan as far as we can, because it is a kind of, a sovereignty, and is a kind of security for us, and it's a first priority for us. Therefore, I totally agree with what Mr. Awad said in his statements.
Yes. Sir, actually, with the horrific reports coming out of El Fasher, how does Egypt view the humanitarian catastrophe there as a catalyst for a broader regional collapse that could spill over the borders?
It's a bit complicated because I already tackled the matter with some Sudanese intellectuals who fled to other countries. And I told them, I don't know why you didn't adhere to your country like what's happening in Gaza, because Gaza, despite they are living in very dangerous situation, but they are adhered to their homeland, and they couldn't leave their homeland whatsoever, the most difficult and the most dire circumstances and the daily killing and genocide occur to them. I don't know, the Sudanese, they don't have the same spirit. I don't know why, despite they're supposed to be infected by what's going on in Gaza, because the Gazan people already giving a good example and a good model for all the global peoples worldwide. Therefore, this is number one. Number two, the matter of El Fasher and things like that, also they're supposed to have like the wise people from the two factions in that respect, just to settle and mitigate and doing the proper for the legitimacy and for, the sovereignty and security of Sudan. But just to continue in the matter of killing without any legal or any equal trial to having a proper, but it doesn't, perish the sovereignty and legitimacy of the current regime over there in Sudan. They should have the dialogue. They should listen to, the wise people around them, just to have a proper dialogue to know exactly the needs of what the people of Sudan, not, the heads of the faction, in that respect, and making the proper referendum in this regard. This is exactly the right way. Otherwise, yes, the dire situation in Fasher and so on, and trying to undermine the sovereignty of the other countries, especially Egypt and things like that, it will be very decisive, actions from the Egyptian leadership, and we will support the legitimacy, as we said from the very beginning, because we'll never allow any illegal power to replace the legal power over there and to perish the Sudanese army over there, because it will perish the security and the sovereignty of Egypt in that respect. And also, there is another point that there is a relation in between this guy, the head of the RSF, with Abiy Ahmed in Ethiopia, and we don't know, with some Arab and some enemy countries, they're trying to make it just to make Egypt, yield to the Western agenda concerning Gaza, concerning the other issues in the region. However, we are aware enough of all of that. And I dedicate my thanks to the President, to the intelligence, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because they are aware of all such malicious and monkey business that's taking places from the RSF and the head of the RSF in this regard, and we will never allow him just to do that. Because also we have our own alignments, and in time they will know that it will never be like what they want.
Dr. Mostafa, actually the presidential statement warned against the cessation of any part of the Sudanese territory. What are the specific geopolitical risks if Sudan were to fragment into smaller, unstable enclaves?
The first, the chaos, because if you have nuclear or smaller states, there's going to be like several civil wars, and each one will try to control the natural resources like the oil or the gold or the water, and also it will represent a very big danger, especially concerning the Nile River and the water of the Nile River, because some of these states will be supported by Israel or by a malicious agenda or whatsoever, therefore they will be against Egypt. And also we have Ethiopia, and we have some factions in Libya. They are not agreeing with Egypt most of the time. Therefore, one of the most dangerous issues, it will be the matter of the staple water resource to us via the Nile River, and this is number one. And now, because after the war on the energy that is taking place right now, whether concerning in Ukraine or in the Middle East, or there will be another war concerning the water. Therefore, this is the number one bill that we should put before our eyes. Also, the matter of the stability and security. And as you said, also it will be like another issue just to destabilize and just to grow the international crimes or things like that, including and not limited to the terrorism, including and not limited to the, of course, the human trafficking, the genocide, things like that. All the bad things will take place if there's going to be like a fracture of the current North Sudan state. And this is exactly what we are caring a lot and put it in the front of our eyes in this phase.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Ahmad Mostafa, our international relations expert, thank you so much for your precious input. It was a real pleasure, sir. Thank you so much. And